to speak about?
Most of them, yes.
Most of them. How many of you find it easy or would take up the challenge if you were thrown a challenge of saying, you're up here tomorrow and you have to make a 5 to 7 minute speech? How many of you would jump at that opportunity?
On what?
Okay, preparing this.
Let's increase the complexity a little bit. The challenge is to speak meaningful. No jokes, no stories, but meaningful content. Now, how many of you would comfortably jump? Excellent. So, the next 15 odd minutes is not for these people. But generally, this is the pain of most Toastmasters. The prepared speech section that you all saw today, the 6 people, can I have a show of hands with those 6 available? Okay. I'll ask the CC2 folks, how easy was it for you to come up with your topic? Amit and Shankar. Not at all easy.
Not at all.
RK?
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't have a trouble with it.
You didn't have a trouble. Okay, he's the exception here. But I think the majority of people say that it's always tough.
Actually, I repeated my CC2. This is second time because I was not getting a topic for CC3. I will improve on this.
Okay, alright. So that brings me to the title for the presentation. And that is the reason why I was requested to share my thoughts over here today. And I do it with all humility. I don't claim to be an expert. I still struggle with what to say. But I just present my thoughts and I share that with you in the hope that it might help you and in the larger hope that I might learn something along the way. Generally, if Toastmasters have to prepare for a speech, I have noticed certain phases, I have experienced certain phases. But before that, the biggest problem is these 7 words. And the moment the VP Ed says, you're on for a speech in the next meeting, all hell breaks loose. Get into bouts of anxiety, curse your existence, curse the day you decided to join Toastmasters. Okay? Try to look for some escape route, some imaginary office work, some call sickness. Well, you try all that, and then your VP Ed and your mentor is after you, so reality dawns on you. And then you begin to accept your fate. Right? So now you get down to business. You fret, you sweat, you try to prepare something, any port in the storm, take you off. Are people reliving this experience?
Yes.
Yes, every time.
So these devices seem to be more lethal than nuclear weapons, right? For the week where you have to speak. And then finally, D-Day. So those 5 to 7 minutes, pure torture. Mostly for you, sometimes for the audience. Correct? And then once all that is done and dusted, what happens? It's introspection. And many a times I felt like this after finishing my presentation. I go back and say, I made a complete fool of myself. Don't worry, everything is covered that needs to be covered. So, this is a typical experience, in my opinion, in my observation, And if I may get a confirmation from you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wasn't forced, was it? But do you really think it has to be this way? No?
For some reason it becomes like that.
It becomes like that. But the experience need not really be so negative. Okay, it really does not need to be so negative. It does not need to be such a torturous journey towards making a prepared speech. Essentially, if you think back about it, the whole thing comes around to your comfort, your confidence. Think one level deeper, it goes down to the foundation. And the meat of the matter is actually your speech. And your speech depends on what you decide to talk about. Okay. That is why the title said, oh heck, what to say. Once you know what to say, your foundation is built. And then you build on that foundation and the experience is much, much smoother. So that is why, in my opinion, the speech topic is the foundation of your experience. So what should I speak on? I guess you're wondering, right? Vidya, come to the point. Let us know what should we speak on. Correct? I don't know. I don't know what we should speak on. But I can lead you to someone who knows what you should speak on. Can you take a turn, just turn to the person sitting next to you, pairs, and say, this.
You. You.
You yourself know what you should speak on. I can't tell you what you should be speaking on. What I can do is make some suggestions to help you get topics to speak on. Okay? So what are the typical factors that influence choosing a topic? While I was preparing for this, I read up a bunch of sites, I admit. I dug into my experience and I came up with an acronym. They call it COPIA. If you can remember cope with fear, you remember COPIA. Okay? So what does it stand for? C is for your comfort level. Essentially, C is for your familiarity with the topic, your passion about the topic. Are you speaking on something that you really love, that you're really passionate about, in which case you'll be very, very comfortable with the topic. So that's the C. O is the occasion. You don't go to a funeral and crack a bunch of jokes. You don't come for a Toastmasters meeting and act like a stand-up comedian, shooting jokes below the belt. So essentially, you need to understand the occasion for which you're called to speak. Also, keep in mind your objective. For example, when I am here today, my objective is to share something with you, is to enable you to learn something. I'm not talking here to entertain you. I'm not talking here to persuade you. I am not even saying anything that will inspire you. So you have to be clear about your objective. Okay? Your purpose. During Mansa's evaluation, I think her evaluator said that she had asked you to evaluate her on her confidence level. So, why am I here on stage? What challenge am I trying to meet within myself? The purpose. The environment. I'm talking to you in a closed room. I do not need a microphone. Hopefully my voice reaches the last row. And even if I were to modulate my voice, crack a joke, any of those things, I presume this audience can hear that. But I may not be able to do the same thing in a larger auditorium without a microphone. So you have to keep in mind the environment where you're making the speech. Because a lot of times, not keeping that in mind is a big letdown. And from an audience perspective, it turns a person, because you're not able to follow anything that the speaker is saying, and therefore you don't buy the speech at all. So keep the environment in mind. The all-important audience, because that's whom you're connecting with or you're attempting to connect with. I could come here and I wish I could talk about some logarithmic equations, blah, blah, blah. Would that make sense? So you have to keep in mind the audience. What all do you keep in mind about the audience? Anybody? Sentiments?
Their expectations.
Their expectations. Background. Culture.
Age.
Age group. Perfect. There's one more thing I'm looking for.
Relevance.
Sorry, 1 second at a time. Gender at times, yes.
Relevance.
As in?
As in, like, if you are going to talk about how to program some complex thing.
Right. So, okay.
And
Mood.
was it a diverse group or is it one set of group?
Diversity. One more.
Receiving capacity.
Sorry, 1 second.
Receiving.
What is it there for?
Can you expand on that? There's one word I'm looking for, or around some.
Knowledge.
That's covered.
Their language abilities.
Language.
If I come and start talking in Shakespeare in English to an audience who are novices with English or basically vernacular.
Language.
Sorry?
Language. Level of language.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's my point. So my point is, I have to meet the wavelength of the audience. I have to be sensitive to the makeup of the audience, to the general knowledge level of the audience, to their language abilities, to their abilities to understand the language that I talk in, or you talk in. To the gender makeup, for example, we've been in situations where some of us have felt uncomfortable because something that the speaker was saying was sexist or so on and so forth. Right? So, C for comfort, O for occasion, P for purpose, E for environment, A for audience. What do you think R is for?
Response.
Relevance. R is for relevance. By relevance, I mean a certain topic was relevant in 99-2000 time frame. It no longer has relevance now when we are in 2016. So there is an end date or an expiry date to certain topics, and if you choose to speak on any of those kinds of topics, please keep in mind and ask yourself, is this relevant in today's day and age? Because again, if it's relevant, you have the audience listening to you. If it's not relevant, you've lost the audience. Okay?
understand.
Yeah, I completely. But beyond copia, these are general, typical factors that influence topic selection. There's one thing that overrides most of these. Any guesses? There's one point that overrides copia. Say again? No, that's not what I'm looking for. You're on the track. In the interest of time, it's your heart and it's your passion. It's your conviction. You can speak on anything under the sun that you're passionate about. Okay? You can really speak about anything that you're passionate about, provided you are passionate about it. And if I may use the examples of some of the speakers here without taking names, some of them were nervous. Some of them had mugged up their speech, and you could make out that they were trying to recollect. I say, don't mug it up. Because if you're passionate about it, things will flow. Things will flow like water. Even if you forget a sentence, your knowledge and your awareness of the topic will help you cover that up, and the audience will not realize it. So really, this point is the number one point. Now, I want to give you some parting tips. I don't have a magic formula. And I cannot tell you what to speak on. Like I've said before, I cannot say you can speak on topics A, B, C, because that will kill your creativity. But what I'd like to suggest to you is, most of us don't get a topic when we need it. But when you're relaxed, when you're looking around, just being aware, you might suddenly get something and say, hey, this is a good topic to speak about. But you're not up to the challenge at that point. Don't lose those thoughts. Put them down somewhere, a diary, a phone, an SMS, a mail, I don't know, whatever works for you. Just put down that topic. You never know when you can refer to this, your database. Keep copia in mind, because now you have to scan through your database and pick up a relevant topic at the opportune time. Again, part of copia is pick a topic that's of relevance, keeping copia in mind, and that you are most passionate about. It's a repetition that I'm saying. You have to be passionate about the topic. I, for example, used to speak a lot about health-related topics during my CC journey, because that is something I was really passionate about. Okay? Now, a major blocker that I have noticed, at least with myself, is getting stuck, attempting to start writing a speech, begin with a title, and get stuck over there because I'm not getting an appropriate title. I have learned not to focus on the title in the beginning, but just get started with the speech. The title will follow. Don't get stuck at the title. Your title can change 100 times before you actually present the speech. Don't get stuck at the title. It may not be the most perfect title. Just put whatever is in your mind, proceed. This point is something that I've seen a lot of people during my attempts to mentor people. They want to draft the entire speech and then come and share that. Forget about drafting the entire speech. Go talk to your mentor. Because writing a speech or developing a speech is an iterative process. And 99.99 out of 100 times, what you set out in the beginning and what you actually spoke about in the end will be different. So don't try to draft your entire speech, perfection paralysis in first attempt. Don't strive for that. Start. Engage with your mentor. Discuss your points. You might get new ideas in the process of talking. Fill in your draft page. As I said again, discuss with your mentor, the speech will develop. You will see suddenly that there is substance coming into your speech. You transition from a point of, heck, I don't have anything to say, to a point of, gosh, there's so much to say and so less time, what should I cut out? So you will transition. And the last point is work towards your speech at that time of the day. What do I mean by at that time of the day?
Of that incident that you are talking about.
So,
You should. If you are talking about an incident, then you should keep in mind that time of the
Peak
day.
time, your own peak
your
time.
peak time, your creative peak time. It's a time when your creative juices are really flowing well, and again, there's no fixed time for it. There's no common fixed time. Each one has a different time. So, focus on your speech at that time when you are at your creative best. I have often found with my own self, when I sit down with the purpose of writing a speech, I open Facebook, I open YouTube, I open 1,000 Google sites, and I don't write a single word of my speech. For me, when I'm shaving, ideas flow. I don't know what it is with that cream and speech, but it flows. So I'm just trying to say that you will find the weirdest places. Somebody mentioned something yesterday in the evaluation contest. Some people get a bunch of ideas when they're sitting on the throne. So you never know where things will strike you. Be open, doesn't matter, right? Above all, don't fret or get nervous about speaking on the stage. We are all a very privileged lot because we have this whole umbrella of Toastmasters with us. And again, I have to relate to yesterday, one of the speakers in an area level contest forgot the speech. I'm done. And nobody made fun of the person. He got an encouraging clap. It happens to everyone. So really, look at an opportunity to make a speech as an opportunity to learn. And you learn to learn. So don't go about making a speech, I have to make a speech, I have to get my C. You forget the damn objectives. So learn to learn. And more importantly, learn to enjoy your stage time. Learn to enjoy your stage time. When you come out here with a purpose or with the intention to enjoy yourself, make out somebody who's trying to make a speech versus somebody who's really speaking from the heart. So my suggestion is to try and be someone speaking from the heart. Madam.
To go back to the point where you said relevance to time. Right. So if I take care of relevance to time, will it automatically take care of my relevance to audience, or do I treat these two as separate entities?
Two separate entities. They're two separate entities. If you're giving an example from the past, if I can exemplify that, do I have the luxury of another 2 minutes? I know I've exceeded.
1 minute.
1 minute. A lot of, this is a debate that some of us in my friend circle take. The rituals in the past that were followed, if you try to apply them today, they're rituals. In the past, they had a scientific meaning and a reason why it was done in that way. It's not cutting nails in the evening is not supposed to be ashub or not good. In the past, there was no electricity. And so if you said cutting nails was bad, it made sense because you might injure yourself. But today, with all the lights and all the advances, that's not relevant anymore. So that's the point over there. Okay. Thank you. Wish you all many occasions to not fret, sweat, but rather many learning occasions and enjoyable occasions, whether or not you're in Toastmasters. So long as you speak, I wish you the very best.
That was really enlightening. One quick tip about